Sometimes things happen out of the blue, and sometimes out of the dark. And that's what occurred next in the investigation into the death of Justine Abshire. A man had stepped forward with a strange tale about how he inadvertently became involved in the case one November night. It was late when the man, Cecil Roebuck, says he found himself hopelessly lost on these winding country roads.
It was a crazy night. I was way out of the middle of somewhere I'd never been before.
Cecil worked at a hospital during the day, but at night he pursued his passion for building parade floats. So here he was after work, only 2 months away from his deadline to finish floats for the big Charlottesville, Virginia New Year's Eve parade, and he was in dire need of one more old school bus chassis to build upon.
I had been to many different places looking for buses. That was a normality in my life at that point, looking for something to put this last unit on it.
His float building partner left him directions to check out a school bus he heard was for sale. But Cecil, instead of going south from Charlottesville, mistakenly headed north.
In fact, you were upside down.
I was upside down.
Right was left and left was right.
Correct, yes.
Lost and late, he says he did finally spot one parked school bus in his headlights, but there was no for sale sign on it. Cecil gave up and was pulling in a driveway to head for home when a man approached out of the night.
I was just turning around. Well, this gentleman comes around to my car and he says, my wife's car is almost out of gas. Can you follow me to a gas station? I said, well, it would be great because I'm totally lost. He said, well, no problem. We'll get to the gas station and it's going to be right on the main road.
So you can do each other a little bit of good
Exactly,
here.
absolutely. So I pull out and he pulls out and I follow this little car all the way through these little winding roads.
A few miles down the road, he says, the man pulled over.
When I pulled behind him, he said, I ran out of gas. So, can you take me back home? And I said, well, I can run you at the gas station. Maybe we could get something. Oh, no, it's fine. Just take me back home. I said, okay.
I mean, that would make sense. Let's go to the gas station. We'll get a 5-gallon can.
Correct. That's what I thought.
Get this car off the road, huh?
He said he could take care of it from there. I said, okay. So I took him back home. I left his driveway.
As you dropped him off, said goodbye?
That was it.
Hopped out of the car?
Hopped out of the car.
And he went into his house?
Went right away.
Helping out the man with the car was a story quickly forgotten. Forgotten until 2 years later when a friend sent him a news report on an unsolved hit-and-run case. The few details, the victim who'd walked away from her car, the picture of the husband, took Cecil back to that night. He was certain that Eric Abshire, the man in the news report under suspicion for killing his wife, was the same person who had asked him for help the night he was lost. Cecil got in touch with the authorities.
All I knew was that the guy that was in the picture was the guy that was sitting next to me in my car when I drove it back.
It had always been a missing link for investigators. If Eric Abshire had killed his wife, how did he do it alone? At minimum, staging the hit and run required getting both his motorcycle and her car out here to the scene 5 miles from their home. Now, the parade float builder's story provided a possible solution to those complex logistics. As a Good Samaritan motorist, he'd followed Eric out to the place where Justine's car was later found. Convenient, but what were the chances that story was true? You had to believe that he appeared in Abshire's driveway at the very moment the husband needed help in staging a faked hit and run.
I was skeptical. You know, it's a nice story, but without anything to go along with it, it's just a story.
Special Agent Mike Jones started the long process of trying to verify the float builder's account.
The first thing I wanted to do was go check the area to see if there might be a school bus that was where he said he was going, and that proved to be true.
Next, he wanted him to trace the route he took.
Put him in the car, and I said, okay, this is where you said you started that night. Now tell me where to go.
You're in charge. Which way we going, huh?
And I didn't give him any feedback. It was always one way, and I was on the receiving end of it. And if he told me to turn somewhere, I turned. And if he told me to stop, I stopped.
In his show-and-tell recreation of the drive with Agent Jones, Cecil did not, in fact, point to the very place where Justine's car had been found.
He didn't get the exact X marks the spot place, right?
He didn't, and I thought, well, if he would have picked that up in the media or something like that.
Well, what about that? I mean, didn't everybody in the county know where all these things had happened?
Well, and that's the thing, it wasn't too perfect. And generally, I don't know, sometimes when it's too perfect, it can be regurgitated. And I thought that, all right, he has enough room of error in there that he might be credible.
Nor did it seem to Jones that Cecil Roebuck had anything to gain by coming forward.
Was he interested in any of the reward money that had been posted?
He's never asked about it.
And Cecil willingly underwent a polygraph.
So you took a lie detector test about your
Oh,
story.
yeah, absolutely.
How'd you do?
I passed it 100%. No problems at all.
And yet it all seems so pat. A solution to a mystery in the movies, maybe, but not in real life. Even Cecil saw the problem posed by his story.
What was he going to do if you had not appeared in the driveway?
I have no clue.
I felt like that the information he had is fascinating, but the information that Mr. Abshire provided was fascinating.
Do you think Roebuck's story is true?
I do.
That he accidentally became the guy that helped get that car out on that back road?
I do.
The investigators now had another piece to the intricate puzzle they were methodically piecing together. And when they looked at it all, the medical examiner's findings, the insurance, the troubled relationship, and the story of the lost parade float builder, a special grand jury was convened. After 4 long years of investigation, they finally felt they had their case.
When we were able to get all of the information that we felt that we were ever going to be able to get, we looked at the picture, and it was clear to us what had happened and that who was responsible.
Go arrest Abshire.
Yeah.
News of an arrest that Justine's family thought might never come.
It felt like this huge bag of rocks I've been carrying on my back for 4 years was lifted off me.
Eric Abshire would stand trial for the murder of his wife, but a conviction was anything but certain.
Coming up, Justine's family waits for the jury's decision, and then,
Gotta go.
When Shattered continues.